Wuornos' first known victim was an electronics shop owner, 51-year-old Richard Mallory from Clearwater, Florida, who picked up Wuornos on November 30, 1989. She claims that he tried to rape her, and that she killed him in self-defense. He was later discovered to have a criminal record for rape, although it was not raised at her trial. She shot him 3 times with a .22 pistol, dumped his body in a wood beside Interstate 95 in Volusia County, Florida, and stole his Cadillac. His car was discovered abandoned outside Daytona a few days later, and 2 young men discovered his naked body on December 13, 1989. During the investigation of Mallory's life and death, police discovered a pattern of alcohol and sex binges, extending back over a number of years, and made little headway in the search for his killer. It was 6 months before the next victim was discovered, 43-year-old David Spears, a heavy machinery operator from Sarasota. His naked body was found on June 1, 1990 in Citrus County, 40 miles north of Tampa, Florida, and he had been shot 6 times with a .22 pistol. It took police another week to effect identification, via dental records, and they discovered that he had been missing since May 19, and that his truck had been found some days later, abandoned on Interstate 75. By the time Spears had been identified, another naked victim had been found, this time 30 miles south of Pasco County, near the Interstate 75, on June 6, 1990. The body was so badly decomposed that police were unable to progress their identification immediately, but the fact that the corpse was naked, and riddled with 9.22 caliber bullets, led to it being tentatively linked to the 2 previous victims. The victim was later identified as 40-year-old rodeo worker, Charles Carskadden. Wuornos' next victim was 50-year-old delivery driver Eugene Burress, whose employer raised the alarm when he failed to complete his delivery route on July 30, 1990. His delivery truck was found abandoned the next day, and a picnicking family discovered his body, on August 4, 1990, in the Ocala National Forest. He had been shot twice with a .22 caliber pistol. A month later, 56-year-old Dick Humphreys, a former police chief and Department of Health employee from Sumterville, was reported missing by his wife, on September 11, 1990. His body was found the next evening in Marion County. He had been shot 7 times with a .22 pistol. Another 2 months passed before the discovery of Wuornos' 7th victim, a 60-year-old truck driver from Merritt Island called Walter Antonio, whose naked body was discovered in Dixie County on November 19, 1990. He had been dead less than 24 hours, shot 3 times in the back and once in the head, also with a .22 firearm. It didn't take long for the leads to start pouring in, and by mid-December, police had several tips involving the same 2 women, which led to the identification of Taria Moore, as well as 3 other names, Lee Blaovec, Lori Grody and Cammie Marsh Green, which all matched the description of the second woman. The Green ID was the one that paid off best. Volusia County officers checked area pawn shops and found that in Daytona, Cammie Marsh Green had pawned a camera and a radar detector, and had left the requisite thumbprint on the receipt. An analysis of these fingerprints linked Green to Grody, and also matched the prints lifted from Seam's stolen car. The information was passed to the National Crime Information Center, and the three aliases were linked to Aileen Wuornos. By January 5, 1991, the police finally had a focus for their investigative efforts. A mammoth manhunt was initiated, and Wuornos was tracked down to Port Orange, Florida, where local forces had to be called off from arresting her immediately, so that the task force could track her movements and see whether she made contact with Moore, their other suspect. The next afternoon, January 9, 1991, Wuornos was arrested at the Last Resort bar. The following day, Taria Moore was traced to her sister's home in Pittston, Pennsylvania, where she revealed to the police that Wuornos had admitted the murder of Mallory to her, on the day it had happened, but Moore had deliberately avoided discussing any other suspicious incidents with her, fearing for her own safety. Moore made a deal to help the police build a case against Wuornos, and the two conducted a series of recorded telephone conversations over the next few days, during which Moore pleaded with Wuornos to confess, to spare Moore from prosecution as an accomplice. Wuornos was initially cautious on the phone, but faced with the prospect that Moore would also be prosecuted, she confessed to 6 of the murders on January 16, 1991, claiming that they had all been acts of self-defense, and that Moore had had no involvement in any of them.